What's up, everybody? Welcome to Lyrics to Go. I'm Daniel Maté. What you're about to watch is a short clip from a recent live stream I did. I do these every Monday night, pretty much. We pick one artist or group or even a single album and just listen in depth, pause, talk about the lyrics, and just get to deepen our appreciation of the lyrical side of things, which is the whole point of this channel. Now, those streams are available to everybody every Monday night. I invite you to come out, check out what we're doing each week. It's always different. If you want to see the entire stream after the fact, that's available to my Patreon subscribers only. And you can become one by going to patreon.com/lyrics2go. There's a whole bunch of other perks as well, including bonus episodes and custom playlists and all kinds of other good stuff. So, hope you'll check that out. And for now, please enjoy this clip. I'm going to pick one that I didn't expect to pick. I was just revisiting a bunch of different albums today. And I think this is such an underrated song.
Oh, it's been a while for me.
It's a good one.
Oh, good. Then we have a lyric one. It's a little flowery, but whatever. Actually, you know what? Fuck that. I got one with the lyrics in the comments. That's better. Oops. And another thing I like about this musically, Rich, or both of you, is that this gets into something that she started doing a fair bit. She did it also on Swan Dive, which is a kind of time signature that you could hear as 3/4 or 12/8. It's a different pattern than she'd played before, and it's just a new polyrhythm for her that I find really affecting. Here it sounds like 12/8, right?
Hour follows hour like water follows water. Everything is governed by the rule of one thing, leads to another. You can't really place blame.
I think someone fucked up the lyrics here.
Someone's bound to get on you while you're trying to put it on.
Oh, those are the lyrics. I always heard them wrong. I always heard them as someone's bound to get it on you while you're trying to put it off or something. No, that's so she already in the first verse, she's referring specifically to this relationship. I thought this was one of her songs where she articulates a general principle, like a kind of a rule of life. She speaks in generalities, and then in the second A, she'll hone in. But anyway.
And don't fool yourself into thinking things are simple. Nobody's lying, and still the stories don't line up.
Line up.
Why do you try to hold on the way you'll never get a hold on?
Wordplay.
You wouldn't try to put the ocean in a paper cup.
Now this next line I think is just spectacular. First line of the chorus.
I have had something to prove, as long as I've had something that needs improving. And you know that every time I move, I make a woman's movement. And first you decide what you gotta do, then you go out and do it. And maybe the most that we can do is just to see each other through.
So this is like another, in some ways, post-relationship song, but such a totally different tone.
And from one to the next, we don't know what each hour will deliver. We just call it like we see it, we call it out loud as we can. Then afterwards we call it all water over the day.
That's such a great inversion of the cliche, water over the dam.
Maybe the moral high ground in this high as it seems. Maybe we are both good people who've done some bad things.
First near rhyme in the song.
I just hope it was okay. I know it wasn't perfect. I hope in the end we can laugh and say it was all worth it. 'Cause I have had something to prove. As long as I got something that means
If I'm not mistaken, that's Andy Suchansky in the background, right? I think this is one of Dilate might have been her last album with. No, Little Plastic Castles he was on. I miss him. Seeing the two of them live was something else. To see a guy backing up a woman like that, it's just exemplary of something.
We make our own gravity to give weight to things.
We make our own gravity to give weight to things.
Then things fall and they break and gravity sinks.
Ouch.
We can only hold so much is what I figure. Try and keep our eye on the big picture. Picture keeps getting bigger. And too much is how I love you, but too well is how I know you. And I've got nothing to prove this time, just something to show.
I never noticed that before. I've got nothing to prove, contradicting the chorus.
I guess
I've always said, had something to prove.
you to say that it was all worth it to me.
It's like, it sounds like she was almost about to sing it, and then she's like, no. No, don't need to. So, just a couple of things to point out, and then I want to hear from both of you. If you're gonna put things in the first person plural, as she often does, you better be on point, or I'm gonna be pissed off.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't fucking speak for me if you're not being insightful. Don't. Like, you better have something worthwhile saying, because for me there's nothing more alienating than like big and often it's just big sort of cliches, but everything here is absolutely, I think, indisputably, it's just physics. I mean, literally, she's talking about physics. We make our own gravity to give weight to things. We make up our own meanings. You know, life's inherently meaningless. And we add the story we add to give it, to make it interesting, I guess. Then things fall and they break and gravity sings. Well, not our own gravity, actual gravity.
Actual gravity, yeah.
You know, which you could call God or just the way it is. And it asserts its eternal supremacy over our little small g gravities.
Well,
You know, I never noticed this until reading it now. We can only hold so much is what I figure. Try to keep our eye on the big picture. Picture keeps getting bigger.
Bigger, yeah.
You know, if you're going to rhyme figure and bigger, like I say this all the time on my channel, it's not about the rhyme, it's how you get to the rhyme.
Mhm.
And, you know, like in hip hop, you know what's going to rhyme with bigger and trigger. You know, there's a limited set of words, and that's fine. So it's a question of how do you get there. And here, And I always talk about trying to get there via unexpected means. You throw up a diversion, a decoy, and then you're like, ooh, and then you divert and you get to the expected place, but via an unexpected route. So try to keep our eye on the big picture. Okay, we got big there. Picture keeps getting bigger. You flip it, you invert it, and all of a sudden we've landed at that satisfying rhyme without, we're none the wiser. We hadn't seen it.
Mhm.
And then another inversion, too much is how I love you, too well is how I know you. And it's such a generous song, and the album overall is very generous. You think of This Bouquet. I mean, what's the literal, like she's offering these songs like bouquets. And that song, Light of Some Kind, she's dealing with a heartbroken lover, right? And isn't there another song earlier in the album where she's, Sorry I Am.
Mhm. Yeah.
So on an album that has these angry statements, like not angry, but defiant, not a pretty girl, million you never made, all those, the love songs on it are so open-hearted and warm and generous, and I just find that really remarkable.
I wanted to bring that up. I'm glad you did before I did. The revelation for me of seeing her live, because this was like, when did I first see her? 2001. So I had imagined just like, she's going to be this pissed, tense thing. And it all leads from the heart, even if she's singing
punk folk.
Yeah. Even if it's untouchable face, she's going to be singing with a smile. And there can be a sense of like, you wronged me, you motherfucker, but it's always followed by, and I love you, but I love you.
Or even if there isn't, she's embracing the audience while she says it.
Right.
There's a like, it's okay to feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
She's giving something always.
Yes.
It's never a tantrum.
Right. Yeah.
Except maybe on Million You Never Made, where she actually lets herself, which fucking rocks out. I mean, and it should.
Yeah. There's not love for this. That's all.
Lisa in the chat says, I had never heard of Ani, and I love this introduction. Her lyrics are awesome. They sure are, Lisa. I hope this sends you to Spotify or some less exploitative platform to go enjoy her albums. You know, she's been recording almost an album a year since 1990, if you can believe it, when she was 19, all independent. Interestingly, the Indigo Girls with the album Poseidon and the Bitter Bug started releasing their stuff independently too. They broke off their major labels, so they've gone in her direction eventually in their middle age. But we'll get to them later. Anything for you, Jess? This is, by the way, Lisa, this is off the 1995 album, Not a Pretty Girl, which I think many people would consider to be one of her high points. And she was super in her, she was at the peak of her powers, I would say, and of her confidence. And it's before her confidence her balloon had been burst by fame. You know, she wasn't on the cover of Spin yet. And so she wasn't having to write songs so much about fame and about the insecurities that come with it, and then having to like leave all that behind and go in different experimental directions. Like this was the pinnacle or the apotheosis, let's say, of her original kind of stylistic template taken to its highest degree of songwriting and production. Is that fair to say, guys?
Yes.
This first five album run? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jess, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, but I get really hung up on that. Every time I move, I make a woman's movement. Just in terms of like, it feels like to my ear listening to this, like probably for the first time, is just like, you know, and what follows up after that is first you decide what you've got to do, then you go out and do it. And the most we can do is to see each other through it. And it's like, it just always felt like she was talking to me and telling me like, which, you know, like this is the right direction to go in, like be confident, you know what I mean? Like such an empowering message always, you know, like especially for women, like in terms of Ani DiFranco's brand of feminism or, you know, whatever. Like
sorry, no, go ahead.
No, I'm just, for me, like that was revolutionary to think that like everything I do is a woman's movement. Anything I can, with every step I take. And that's sort of, well, I feel like that would lead me into my next song pick, which, I don't know if you're ready for that.
Damn, I feel like a woman.
No.
See that, but that's the alternative statement of making a woman's movement. Like, here are the brands and the accoutrements and the things that you wear to feel like a woman.
Yeah,
which is
sure.
an outside in kind of identity, where Ani's talking about by definition everything I do.
Yeah.
By definition, and I embrace that. It's like inside out, and I gather it to me, and I hold it with dignity and with honor. And I'm telling you, like, seeing her live and watching the responses of the women around me, including my female friends, was again life-changing for me. It was really. I'm not going to say that like I changed all of my attitudes or my behavior overnight, but I couldn't unsee it, because what I was seeing was that there was a whole hidden world of a woman's experience walking through this world, and obviously not every woman experiences everything the same. And obviously from the perspective of today's feminism, some of this stuff might be critiqued as this or that, maybe a little antiquated or whatever. I don't happen to think so, but whatever. But the radical thing about it was giving a voice to those experiences and welcoming men into the space. It's like, you can be here, but I'm not at all going to worry for a goddamn second how you feel about this.
Yeah.
If you're not on, like, either get on, like, catch up, or be confused, go home and be confused and think about it.
She was really my entry point into like actual feminism. I think before, her like welcoming us into her head, my attitude is very much like, well, of course, men and women should be equal, blah, blah, blah. Like nothing was considered, and no real thoughts to like what is a woman's experience like in this country lately. I'm very, very grateful to her for kind of like cracking that open.
Right, like coming out of the 80s, like where like women were, working girls, like as in the Melanie Griffith kind of working girl, like corporate success, and I just, if you just I don't know who you guys are fans of in the 90s, singer-songwriter wise, like, but I just line her up against. I line her and the Indo Girls up against the rest of the Lilith Fair crowd. And I know Ani never went to Lilith Fair very deliberately, which I think was really smart. And there's nothing wrong with Sarah McLachlan. She did some early stuff that was really interesting. I, as a Canadian, got to hear it before you guys did. But eventually, all of these women who were in the corporate machine and were heterosexual, because the Indo Girls, I think, had a kind of there was a niche and an authenticity to them that stood on its own outside of that. And the record companies realized, oh, there's like, okay, we can let them be them.
Yeah.
But Sarah McLachlan, Meredith Brooks, I don't know, all these others, not Tori Amos. Tori Amos was always her own, but kind of just kind of absorbed into aspects of the machine of what femininity is. That sometimes I couldn't, and Alanis too, like, obviously there's pieces of the real person in there, but it's the real person as sold, not as told. And Ani was deliberately, intentionally, and passionately not that, and made a huge difference to so many lives because of it.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah, Lisa gets a bit of an early Cat Stevens feeling, like the lyrics are simple and the ways her phrases are linked. Wow, that's a high compliment. I recently saw a Cat Stevens video that made me smile so much. Him and Chris Cornell on stage singing "Wild World," about a year before Chris died.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna do a live stream on Chris Cornell sometime soon, because he's one of my favorites. All right, Jess, we're back to you.
So you brought it up before, so it was probably on your list too, but I gotta bring up Evolve.
Oh, I'm
evolve
so
it.
glad you did. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you did.